Welcome back to Face the State on this Sunday morning. With us now to talk about some of the big issues at the state capitol are two state senators, Matt Lesser, he is a Democrat, and Kevin Kelly, he is a Republican. Senators, thanks for being with us here today.
Thanks for having us.
And I want to begin with something that you called for this week, and that is a public option for health insurance. Tell us about that, how it would work, and why you decided to do it.
So the public option would do two things. It would provide a new health insurance option for small businesses and nonprofits, and a new health insurance option for individuals. What we're hearing out there across the state is that healthcare costs are out of control. The uninsured rate is creeping up, and people who have healthcare, thanks to high deductible plans, can't afford to use them. So we need more competition, more choice, and lower prices.
Is that the best way to go, Senator Kelly?
I wouldn't say that it's the best way to go. Certainly, I heard the same thing going door to door, that healthcare premiums are becoming more and more unaffordable. In other words, the promises of the Affordable Care Act are not being met. But to go in the direction of a public option, I think, is a little bit extreme and potentially expensive. When we look back at the Affordable Care Act, there's a reason why President Obama did not include that in the original Affordable Care Act, and why no other state has decided to exercise the public option.
And what's the Republican plan?
Well, the Republican plan would be looking at almost the same Affordable Care Act platform. It looks at reinsurance and using the waiver program under the Affordable Care Act to continue to meet the same promises of, affordable premium, the pre-existing conditions, coverage to 26. But it uses the same type of program that would fulfill what Congress did not do, and that was fully fund the promises that they made.
And Senator Lesser, would that work better?
It wouldn't work enough. 43% of Connecticut residents said to delay or avoid a medical procedure just in the last year because of cost. This is an issue that's weighing down every small business in the state. We've heard from businesses across the state. We need to do more. We need more competition. Right now, there just aren't enough options for folks, and the options that are there aren't affordable. So we can leverage our existing status as the insurance capital of the world to get insurance companies to compete with one another to provide a public option, lowering prices for everyone. That would be a help to every small business out there that's just trying to compete.
We have to get through a lot in this short segment, so I want to move on. David Lehman, the choice by Governor Lamont to head up the Department of Economic Development. Do you support him?
I have serious concerns about his nomination, particularly when you look at the fact that he came out of Wall Street and out of the exact industry that caused a lot of the economic malaise that we're experiencing today. And that really hit middle-class Connecticut families very hard, not only back then, but it's a problem that they still feel to this day. And so it's a big concern to see that we're going to go back to that type of industry, Wall Street, to solve a lot of the problems here in Connecticut that Main Street is experiencing. And I don't think we need more boardroom experience. We need more middle-class experience. And so what we're looking for from the governor is not so much reliance on, Capitol Avenue and big government or big corporations in Wall Street. We need to start focusing on middle-class Connecticut.
Senator Lesser, your leader, Senator Looney, has some doubts. What about you?
Well, I don't think that this role of the state senate is to be an HR agency for the state. I think we should owe the Governor Lamont some level of deference in picking his team. That said, I had some of the same concerns that Senator Kelly articulated. I sat down with Mr. Lehman recently, and I'm hoping to hear more from him about his vision for Connecticut, what he hopes to bring to the job, and why he wants the job, why he's leaving his position on Wall Street to take it. So I'm hoping to hear more. I have some of the same concerns that he articulated.
Are you undecided right now?
I'm undecided right now.
Let's talk about tolls, and we've been hearing about all sorts of plans, many of them with gantries all over the state, some of them with fewer gantries. How many gantries do you support?
I think we want to hear a plan from the Department of Transportation. I think one of the concerns that I'm hearing from my constituents in the central part of the state is about toll avoidance, about people avoiding tolls coming onto local roads, causing increased traffic. Having more gantries at a lower rate could actually help reduce the incentive for people to come out onto local roads. So I think it's really about where you go into the details, how this works, how this impacts towns across the state, and what can we do to minimize the impact on commuters, on low-income families, and people just trying to get to work.
But you favor some sort of toll system?
I am absolutely open to some sort of toll system. We have a transportation funding crisis, and anybody tells you otherwise is selling you something.
Senator Kelly, there's been a lot of talk that all Republicans are against tolls. Are you against them?
Certainly I'm against them. I also represent the town where that fiery accident occurred that was the touchstone that brought down the tolls in the first place. I think what we have to do is be honest with the Connecticut taxpayer. Right now, we make a sacrifice of almost $1.6 billion a year from gas taxes to go to transportation. And this governor in his budget drains that fund. So for him to say that we have this transportation problem and we need tolls is a little bit disingenuous. The other problem is that his plan is going to put this out for 5 years. And if there's a real economic driver here for jobs in Connecticut, there is a plan, the Republicans prioritize progress, that could be implemented now to help fix our roads and bridges. So there's a funding issue here. The numbers are not being shared with us. I mean, if we're going to go forward with this, we should know what the cost of a toll is going to be. The fact that we have no numbers really isn't fair to the taxpayer.
Most of the polls we've seen on tolls, they're not necessarily official, but they're online type of things, and they're overwhelmingly against the tolls. And you said your constituents have some concerns as well. Do your constituents want tolls in any form, or are they against them completely?
Nobody wants to pay a toll. I don't want to pay a toll. The question is, we need roads and bridges. We need to make sure that we've got infrastructure in the state so people can get to work and our economy can be competitive. But the idea out there that we can just borrow our way to building infrastructure, that's what got us into this fiscal mess that the state's been in for the longest time. The last thing we should be doing is bonding transportation projects, just borrowing it, putting it on our credit card. We can't afford to do that. If we're gonna be serious about investing in infrastructure, let's do that. Let's have an honest conversation about that.
Final question. We know that many Republicans are against David Lehman. I just want to go back to that subject for one moment. If the governor came to you and said, Matt, I need your help. You need to support this guy, what would you say?
I think we're having that conversation. Want to hear more about his vision. I'm absolutely open to that conversation. I've already had some conversations with the governor and look forward to more.
Matt Lesser, Kevin Keller, thank you so much for being on the program today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we'll be talking about Bradley Airport. We have some great old film. We'll also be talking about the future of the airport. We welcome all of your comments right now on social media.